Okay, we're in the last section of Module 12. We've been talking in this particular module about the names feature that is built into Excel. One of the things you have the ability to do is when you're writing a formula, in place of using actual ranges, you'll be able to use a range that you've already named. You'll be able to see that name in your formula, and that way it's much easier to actually see exactly what it is that you're working with. I want to go ahead and show you how to use these range names, and then we'll actually set some up and use them in our formulas. One of the things that we did was we named B8 through B11 Jan, and I want to show you how to use it in a formula. When I look down at B13 and I double click, you'll see that this particular formula says add B8 through B11. What if I took B8 through B11 like this and replaced it with the word Jan? Let's see if we get the same exact answer. And we do, because Jan always means sheet 1, the absolute value of the range B8 through B11. Now keep in mind that when you do this, you have to keep Jan in the parentheses still. All ranges have to be in parentheses. The only disadvantage to doing something like this is, let's say you didn't have any of these and you wanted to actually use your fill handle and copy this across. If you did this, you'll notice that it just puts 830 in all of these cells, and that's because it's always the absolute value of the range B8 through B11. So you will not be able to use your fill handle to copy your answers across like that. Now let's say we're on another sheet. We'll go to sheet 3. And I'm over here writing some formula, and this time let's say I'll do max. I'm trying to reference that same range. Now if I forgot that I named it Jan, I could always look up here under my Formulas tab, and you'll see that right here where it says Define Names, there's this Use in Formula option. Notice it's the only one available. What most people tend to do is they want to come over here to where they think the name list is, and notice that's not the names anymore because we're actually in the middle of writing a formula. So now we'll have to go to it this way. I can pick Jan from the list, hit the Enter key, and I get 300. If I flip back to sheet 1, let's see if that's the correct answer, and it is. It's 300. That's a good example of actually using a name in a formula. I've got another really good example. Let me go ahead and open another file we've already worked in and show you how this works. We worked in this file a little bit earlier when we were talking about absolute values. Just to refresh your memory, this is the name of each salesperson, and what we want to do is pay them a commission rate of 15% up here. And we'll base that 15% on their total. All we're going to do is come over here to H8, and I'm going to put in the equal sign, and I'm going to say take this, which is their total, and multiply it times the 15%, which is in G3. And then we talked about the fact that we could copy this down, and we would get zeros because this is that relative reference we talked about. So remember I told you that you'll need to insert dollar signs in front of the G and in front of the 3. And as long as you click there, you can also hit F4 on your keyboard to insert those for you. But now that I have that in here, I'll copy that down and we have all of our commissions. I did mention to you that there were 3 things you could name, and we've talked about naming a range. We've talked about naming an individual cell. Now let's talk about this way to use names. I would like to still pay each person a 15% commission, but I don't want to show this anywhere on the screen. A lot of people would actually put this on another sheet, and you could certainly do that, but let me show you how you can use a name to accomplish the same thing. I'm going to hit delete here, and you can see now that everything is 0 because I deleted my number that I was multiplying by. What I'm going to do is I'm going back to formulas and I'm going back to the name manager because I'd like to actually create a new name. Now I'm going to actually abbreviate this. I could leave it commission, but that's a lot to type in. I'll just call it COM. And down here, COM is going to refer to, and you have to put in your equal sign, 15%. So this time, instead of it referring to a cell, it's going to actually refer to, in this case, 15%, and then I'll click OK. And now you'll see that one is set up. I'm going to close this, and here's how it's going to work in our formula. Instead of saying $G $3 here, I'm going to say COM. 1175 times 15% is what this formula now says. I'm going to hit the enter key and you can see I have my 176.25. And I'll be able to do that with any of these. I'll go ahead and use the fill handle and copy this down, and you can see I have all of my answers. So all I did was I went back up to the name manager. I chose the new option. I'll just edit in this case. I named it COM and it refers to 15%. Don't forget the equal sign there. And I just clicked OK. And now you'll see those are 3 ways to use names in your formulas. Well, that's going to wrap up Module 12. We've talked a lot about working with names. What I want to do now is totally change focus and move you over into Module 13, where we'll talk a lot about sorting and filtering when you have longer lists of information.